Hi, I'm here at Internet of Things World 2019 with Dan Evans from Itron. Thanks for joining us. Could you start by telling us a bit about your role and your company?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm here representing Itron. Itron is a company that's focused on resourcefulness, so helping primarily utilities and cities around the world leverage their infrastructure and bring technology to bear to help them be more efficient when it comes to using water, gas, or electric infrastructure. My role specifically within Itron is focusing on a new line of business around smart cities, hence why we're here at IoT World. And smart cities to us means enabling cities to, again, improve the infrastructure that they have for their citizens. It started with smart lighting products that we came out with about 5 years ago, and now we're adding on to that some additional sensors that are beginning to enter the market. Smart cities is a kind of a buzzword that everybody has their own definition of, and we have worked with a strong partner ecosystem to enable their solutions on the network. So my responsibility is product management within Itron for smart cities.
And you're speaking at the event on mitigating risk with IoT. What points will you cover?
Yeah, so at this morning's keynote, the CEO of Itron, Philip Mazie, discussed how Itron is helping utilities respond to and react to natural disasters. So the focus was around some of our customers, such as Florida Power and Light, and Tampa Electric. They're in the heart of Hurricane Alley there in Florida. And so using our technology, when the storms have hit, they've been able to recover in a much quicker manner. So mitigating that risk by knowing where your infrastructure is. Obviously weather reports will give them information about where the storm might land. But more importantly, the sensors and the industrial IoT technology that we deploy with our customers allows them to know exactly where the outages have occurred. And more importantly, get the crews to those outages and restore the service to the customers as quickly as possible and as safely as possible. So that's an example that Philip talked about this morning. Another example I like to bring in from a smart cities perspective is we have a partner who has a gunshot detection system. So a risk to all of us, unfortunately, when we walk around some cities in some parts, is that there's crime out there. And so gunshot detection is a sensor that basically listens for sounds. When it hears a certain sound, there's a profile that it gets matched to, and it can actually identify the caliber of the bullet, the location of the shooter, and then send that alert to public safety officials so they can get first responders out there very quickly. So it's a risk that we help mitigate just from leveraging that infrastructure.
And you've already mentioned a couple of cities there. Which city do you think is setting the gold standard for smart city technology deployment?
Yeah, we've been working with a number of cities around the world. So I guess I would call out a couple. One is Glasgow in Scotland in the UK. And they have deployed our smart lighting infrastructure. So they've improved the lighting by adding LED lights. And then they've added on top of that. So that in and of itself has improved safety in the city for better lighting for citizens and visitors. And then also they added noise sensors, so they knew when there was any sort of aggression that might have been occurring in the city or car crashes, they could help identify those from noise sensors. And then also they have a traffic monitoring system. So they've deployed all of that, and then they're taking that data from the network and from the sensors and putting it into a data platform in an open data manner. So it's now available for developers or citizens to access and take and apply new applications on top of. So they've really kind of pushed the envelope, and they've done that 4 or 5 years ago, so they're really on the cutting edge. Another more recent example is a customer we have in Australia. It's Transport for Canberra and City Services. And so as the capital of Australia, they're obviously looking at driving innovation in the country and setting the standard themselves. So they will be deploying, again, based on a smart lighting infrastructure to establish a mesh network over the city, and then tying in other smart city sensors, things like smart parking solutions and smart traffic solutions, which one of the things that a lot of cities around the world struggle with is traffic. And so enabling solutions that identify where that traffic is and then helping solve that problem through smart parking, where you're getting information from sensors and then and that information will tell you where's their availability and where's their not availability, and then giving wayfinding directions to the drivers to the right part of the city to park. And that'll prevent the congestion that every city is facing.
And now we've covered multiple continents, so how do smart cities in the United States compare to the rest of the world?
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. In the United States, what we've seen, and this is probably coming from our heritage in the utility background, but cities and utilities having to work very collaboratively. Outside the U.S., it tends to be more that you just deal with the city, and they can, establish all the infrastructure they need. Here in the U.S., a lot of that infrastructure is owned by the utilities, so it becomes a collaboration, and it begins, again, with street lighting as the easy example, and in today's world where a lot of those lights are getting upgraded to LED, this is an opportunity for the city to become smart, and so they really want to take advantage of that, and oftentimes the utilities own those street lights, and so they're having to work with the utilities to do that. And then on the other side is the city wants some services and some additional sensors that we've talked about, parking or traffic or air quality, and they want to enable that on the same network, and the network being sort of managed by the utility. So it becomes a quid pro quo, sort of give and take for working together. The utilities need the cities certainly to get their infrastructure out there, and they're servicing the citizens of that city, and the city needs some of these additional high-tech services that are coming out of this IoT World show and other places, so that to be able to work together is key. Like I said, that's probably one of the main differences between what we see in the United States versus outside the United States.
And speaking of the show, what's been your favorite part of the event?
Well, this is like the third or fourth year I think that I've been here, and so it's the thing I take away every year is this mashup, to use a word, that brings together sort of small companies who have just new ideas. They're sort of in that startup phase, with larger companies like Itron or big worldwide known brands, bringing those together in one place and having those conversations about how does innovation really kickstart to the next level, and not having the companies getting stuck in their ways. So I've had some really great conversations on the show floor here, and some of the sessions that I've been able to attend, are hitting on some of these very futuristic topics, but we'll be there before you know it. So that's always the exciting part about coming to IoT World.
Well, it's great to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.